So pre-market today, there wasn't that many small cap gappers that really was my A+ setup. A lot of stocks I wanted to short, but the locates were really expensive or they were just none available. So I just focused on IQ. IQ was my main watch. This is a large cap company. Some people call it the Chinese Netflix, and they were gapping up due to reportedly Tencent wanted to invest more or like a majority stake in the company. But the key is that, yeah, it's positive for the company, but it wasn't like a confirmed report or like confirmed news or anything with actual date horizon already in place. So at this point, unless we get an actual confirmation, it's just a rumor. And the stock actually gapped up 30%. So you can see we basically retraced at least 50% of the gap up. And that's why I was leaning in short biased pending how it reacts to $26 level. You can see 26 was already the resistance pre-market, become some small support here, but at the open we failed that immediately. We failed $26 and we couldn't reclaim, and that's why I was leaning in short. Shorter here, I was waiting for bigger bounces, maybe retest of 2580s to add even bigger, but we didn't get that. That's why I added here, paid some myself here, small size, but I was leaving a majority on because the price action was just so heavy. So we did get a flush, covered some here, but I didn't hesitate to add back in. Again, price action is heavy, and the entire market was selling off. So I'm just joining the trend, right, on a large cap stock like this. And around 2370, 80s, this is where I covered most of it. So by this point, I only have a quarter left, and I try to go back in, seeing if we can get even more. And this is where I should have covered. This 2260s area, which you can see is prior, there's some prior support, small support here. But, I didn't, because I only have a small size on, try to re-short, and seeing that we're not actually going lower anymore. That could just be the low of the day here. And I got out of my last piece short. So overall, pretty nice play. Very, very liquid stock. And it was easy to borrow. So you didn't need to pay locate fees, not like a lot of the other small caps that was in play. I played a few small scalps on the small caps, long and short, but the biggest position was IQ for me. Okay, let's look at. So WAFU is one of those stocks I scalped short, nothing big. It was up on volatility because the Chinese government was saying they were closing down schools for Beijing or some, city, and everything has to go online. And this is an online education company in China. It doesn't make that much sense, but it's a small cap. Like it runs on whatever the pumpers wanna do. So you can see, we're actually, running up higher, but this day there was a lot of bag holders from the longs just a couple days ago. So that's why I was more short bias. If we do reach this area, 860s, $8 range is where I'm interested in shorting. So I started building position here a little bit early, covered into the flush just to pay myself, but I was prepared for the stock to go to $8 and $9. And when it started to reject $8 area, it's where I scaled in again short, and I was all out by this part. Again, just a small position, small scalps, and small wins definitely adds up. And EDSA is a very similar idea as WAFU. I actually had a long in there into the volatility because that seems to be the theme, right? Today, a lot of these small caps are sold off a couple days prior, which is holding up and then selling off. So, if you're fast enough, you can play the hold up on the long side and the short the downside. So, round trip on this, long and short. Just tiny scalps, nothing big, but just adds up to little base hits. So another one of those really wild day with tons of gappers. And I think pre-market, there was, 5 low float gappers on my trade idea scanner. And whenever that happens, man, I swear, like every time we have too many gappers, they all kind of sell off. Because, again, the volume and the buying volume is divided. And usually only one will stand the test of time, is what we call it. So NTN was one of those gappers. I was actually more long biased on the stock. You can see I started a small long here, sold into the pre-market push, flush because I was hoping that we're gonna break above the $7 and start holding and go up to make new highs on the daily chart. I think on the daily there was room to $10 or like $9, but pre-market very small size, just small scalp, couple hundred share sizes. But once we reject that $7, that's where I got stopped out, and I wanted to leave it for the open, and good thing I did, because at the open it instantly sells off back to 520s area, and that's why I took another stab long. You can see at the open and sold out immediately, right? And to this 520 support, which is where I longed. I think I longed here 530s, risking 520s. Why 520s? You can see previous support here, here, and then here, right? Does that mean it's always going to hold? No. I'm not saying it has to hold, but I'm saying it could, right? You can see this 520s is also the high from the day before. So that's why I chose that level to long. And also, like, it's like a scalp trade. Only a couple hundred shares, nothing big. You can see we actually hold it up, but I was trying to sell and I accidentally sold all of it. The idea was that we might go into a volatility hold to 7, and that's where I want to sell the majority of my shares, but I messed up. And I only caught, I don't know, like 80 cents, 50 cents or so. And I just left it alone because after this on hold, we got sold into and it just stayed heavy for the entire day. And I don't want to fight trend, right? Even though I was bullish on the stock, once it breaks down 520s, it's done. It's game over. UONK. So this stock, I actually went in short. Even though I was bullish on the stock early on, but this is basically the same company as UONE. And if you see just different class of shares, but if you see the stock, UONE, which of course is the same company, trade together. If you see the stock tanking from 23 to 17, I don't want to long UONEK anymore. That's why I flipped short. The stock was easy to borrow, so size accordingly, could always squeeze. Shorted some around $6, added some more after we stayed heavy, 560s, and should have held a lot longer and be more patient. But I was kind of busy with CARV, which I'll show you in just a second, and covered some, and I was out here. And the stock tanks to 340. So didn't see dropping that low that fast today. So definitely missed a lot downside on short. But the play of the day was CARV. Okay, so CARV. So this is a very manipulative stock. Low float, up on no news. It's up on all-time highs, so I think the stock has upside to 25 or something. The prior resistance was $12, which it did hit. You can see $12, we broke that pre-market. So I had a few longs and short. Longs were mostly pre-markets here on the front side and another scalp long. But after this area is where I started shorting. And the shorts are all, short scalps. Nothing big, but they definitely add up. There were not a lot of locates on CARV for me. I only got a couple hundred shares. But if you are recycling them, it adds up nicely, even though they are just small scalps, right? Small scalps, a couple hundred, they add up on a stock that give you $2 or $3 range. Shorted, and these are all scalps until we went parabolic towards $22. That's where I shorted, and I did cover some, but I wanted to hold for the major flush and potentially hold down, which I don't think we got here. We didn't get the hold until this candle, but it was all out on the short by 1570s. So that was pretty nice scalp play on the short side, and I did try to re-hit the pops over here, but overall didn't do that well on it. I think I took a loss here around this area because of the squeeze. But I did re-enter with a smaller size. When re-entering the stock after the major move, it's always with like fraction of the size I had up here. But even with small sizes, they still added up pretty nicely on CARV. And the tiny scalp winner on the day was LMFA. I didn't even know my order got filled. I just sent out some really out of the money short orders at 350 and basically an OCO range order. If this gets filled, I have a stop at 130 and take profits here around $3. So ended up nicely, even with just tiny small share sizes. Nice way to start the day before the open. And I just left the stock alone after it opens. So early on, I had a small short pre-market just because we were pretty extended on this parabolic run up, and I covered my short, and this is where I actually flipped long. And that was a good flip because the stock was actually really strong, but just stronger than I had anticipated. So I longed long here, sold some into this push, re-added some more, about 44.50s, and this is where I got out of all the longs here, because I was thinking, okay, this could potentially be the topping for a rollover to the downside like I had in mind. And I started scaling in short, and when the stock just keeps on going, I cut my loser, right? So that was the first short. And this is where I attempted again in this formation here, thinking that, okay, like we have rejection from the 46, 47th area, which is also daily resistance. And I was thinking this could be the top, and we're just gonna roll over. And we did not. Like the stock literally reclaimed VWAP again for the second time, and tried to push higher. And this is where I had the second short, and I cut my second short. So it ended up being a red ticker after the short side. I did revisit the short twice, and that gave back my gains from the long side. Since the long, I didn't anticipate it to be that strong of a breakout, and it is what it is. But I followed my rules, followed my stop, and took the loss that's anticipated. So other than that trade on ENPH, there were no other big trades for me, just because there weren't that many small cap runners that actually looks good for my setup. I did have a few scalp shorts, HUSN over here, nothing big, just small wins. Another one, CARV. This one, the borrows were really expensive, so I didn't have much size on it, only a couple hundred shares. Got shorts 13, 11, so that gave me a nice average about 12.50s. And just scaling in, right? And then cover into the flush. Didn't want to hold for any home runs or anything. Another small one is AEMD. This one is very, very small. Barely had anything, just a starter. So it is my first red day in a while. And tomorrow's Friday, so just gonna take it easy tomorrow and see what happens. So it is now about 11:30 p.m. here, and I think we're pretty much done for the week. There's not a lot of other movers. Traded only 2 stocks today and kept it pretty clean. Small base hits, they added up, especially after a red day from yesterday for me. So UONE was the first stock I traded. I was actually more long biased on the stock, but I did get a tiny bit of scalp short in the stock. But overall, the better trade to on the long side. Basically, after the stock ripped above the $40 mark on the daily chart, that's when I was more bullish on the stock, as long as we held the $40 area. And that's why I went back long here, and then just tiny scalps. It is a stock that has a big range, and I don't want to get caught on the wrong side of the stock. Basically the same idea as buying the dip and selling the rips. And here I had a scalp shorting it. The locates were really expensive, so I didn't borrow that much. But overall, the trade was mostly on the long side. So nothing major, but I think, this stock, who knows, like it looks weak now, but the last few days, yesterday and I guess 3 days ago, they keep on trapping beneath VWAP and, try to squeeze out near the end of the day. So you never know, this could do the same thing again. But, the action is definitely more muted in comparison to yesterday. But I'm done with the stock for now. Don't want to get caught in any headache. The second stock I traded was red. I was green on the stock. I was short. You can see I had a tiny long there, thinking that we're gonna continue the breakout. But when that didn't work, I flipped short, and I built a very nice short position. And this is where I add to my full size after it started to stay heavy and rejecting VWAP. And I did cover some here, but not the majority, unfortunately, because I was thinking we're gonna get a major flush down to 350s, and I want to keep majority of my size for that level. And I did cover some, but we really quickly bounced back. I tried to re-add on my covers, and when that didn't work, that's why I started covering and get out of the short, especially after seeing that we're holding above VWAP and we're breaking above $5. So that's my risk, right? You always want to manage your risk, and good thing I did. I was telling everyone in my Discord chat that there's nothing more satisfying than seeing a stock ripping all the way $2, $3 above your respected stop loss if you're short, right? right? So I'm very happy I followed my stop. And it's the same thing if you were long, right? If you sold for a loss, but respecting your stop loss and you see it tank even further, there's no better feeling than that. Like that feeling is actually even better than making money in trading, right? In trading, it's easy to make money, but most people cannot keep it. So that's the key takeaway here. So I'm very happy to walk away on the week very green, despite one red day from yesterday. Hopefully everyone did well trading this week, and we'll see what happens next week. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and the bad jokes. If you want to see more day trading content, make sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more. If you'd like to trade with me daily and get my free weekend watch list and trading journal, make sure to check out the links below for more resources. Stay green, stay positive, and I'll see you guys next time.